You goddamn N-words.
Mute count 7.
See, that's the reason why I keep notes, because then he starts lying about R.T. Mullins, and then when he started lying, I went, "Oh, I better check my notes on him." And sure enough, he's a little troll. That's why I keep notes on people.
What happened to Zonda?
He was muted because he's a troll.
I thought you guys were having like a good conversation, but
We were, until I realized he was a troll.
what did he do exactly?
He started lying about R.T. Mullins, the theologian that I was discussing, and then that prompted me to look at my notes on his account, and he has a prior history of trolling and heckling.
Wow, Zonda, I mean, honestly, you should probably be banned. That's fucking disgraceful.
I can vouch for Zonda. He can
Can
be a
you
troll
really?
sometimes. He can be a troll sometimes, but I've seen him down in other chats and he can be serious as well. Forgive him.
Nobody can understand you with your mic quality, miss.
He begs for forgiveness. Now, have you considered that he does have a star by his name?
Have I considered what?
He does have a star next to his name.
So what? What does that mean?
That's my question to you. What does that mean?
I don't know, nor do I care.
Please stop doing those emojis. Those are really annoying.
What was that guy's name earlier? Darwin's champion or something?
Darwin's strongest soldier.
Oh, yeah.
Back and to the left.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so funny. I mean, the guy didn't even understand the difference between natural selection and Darwinian evolution. He thought they were the same. Well, here's a simple defeater that if evolution is true, and mutations built the entire genome, why don't we see an innumerable number of weird features that are the result of mutational accumulation, but don't take away from survivability? Why don't we see that? Okay. Well, it's understandable, because evolution is not just this so-called powerful scientific theory. It's actually at its root demonic. But because people think it's super scientific, they're fooled by it. Okay. Which is when you don't turn to God and his revelation in creation and through the Christian scriptures, you don't receive a love of the truth, then you're going to succumb to this widespread lie. I mean, the idea that mutations could build the genome of the animal kingdom
Blah, 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 blah.
is simply it's beyond absurd. It's borderline insane to believe that. Doesn't matter. People imagine, well, we have a big universe. Even an unimaginably large number of Earth-like planets over 13.7 billion years will do nothing to scratch the surface of overcoming the improbability of mutations building the genome, even for the lowest of life forms. I mean, that's how complicated the DNA code is. That's why Dr. Eugene Koonin, who is a staunch advocate of evolution, refers to evolution happening in just a single universe as vanishingly small. This is a guy who's a promoter of evolution. If we did away with the idea that the theory of evolution was dogma in academia throughout the world, then I would venture to say we wouldn't have the mass numbers of people that we have today who would believe in the genuineness and the scientific nature of evolution. We would have significantly lower numbers of people. But because it is held in dogma, in cross academia and in the scientific community,
we did away with
this
the
is an
idea
intimidating factor by people.
that the theory of evolution was dogma in academia.
Back and to the left.
You ever see that old sci-fi show, Sliders?
Can I make a argument on improbable evolution or whatever?
Your mic quality is terrible.
Shit. One second. Is it better?
Only a little.
Nah.
I turned you up. Go
well,
ahead.
Okay. So you were talking about like astronomical and probably, which you're not wrong, but the one thing about probability is that it's all about the variables, correct? So with evolution, it's like once you change the variables of whatever you're talking about, it becomes probable because if it occurs, okay, I guess I'm not very good at explaining things, but
Are you a teenager?
can you hear me?
Are you a teenager?
No,
What?
no,
How old are you?
20.
Okay. Well, you sound like a teenager.
Damn, there's my feelings.
Sir, what are the odds that mutations will produce one coding sequence for an amino acid?
Didn't you ask the other guy that?
I'm asking you.
Okay, I'm not talking about that. Now,
Sir,
I'm gonna make.
I'm going to ask
my
you a
argument,
question. I'm going to ask you a
and
question.
let me
I'm
make.
going to ask you a
Can I
question.
make my
Okay.
argument, please?
Sir,
I wasn't asking.
what
for
are
a
the
question.
what are the odds of mutations building
Look,
the genome of the animal kingdom?
This is one thing about debating with you is you never let anyone make an argument.
I didn't hear you. What are the odds of the mutations producing the genome of the animal kingdom?
Can I make my argument before you start asking questions, please?
Yeah. When you get into 2020, get into your time machine. When you stop using a microphone from 1998, then get back to me.
Wow. That sounds like one of the most immature.
Look, it's 2022. When people come onto Discord,
I'm gonna go.
Listen, when people have crappy it's 2022. People have crappy microphones and they come onto Discord.
To talk about your question. Answer your question.
What are the odds of mutations producing the
Okay,
genome
so
of the
I'm gonna
animal
say
kingdom?
why you're incorrect in your
I just asked you.
mutation.
Listen to me.
Let me answer your question.
Are you
I'll
in a okay? You get one more. You have 2 strikes. Get a 3rd strike. I'm gonna server meet you. Okay.
fuck this.
What are the and he leaves. Okay. 20 years old, my ass.
Zero. It's a 0 chance.
Zero. Near zero.
Well, it's effectively 0.
It's funny when they come up to the juncture of the philosophical or metaphysical point of view. Can life come from non-life? It's just not. It's not only non-scientific. It's just impossible philosophically. You don't get life from non-life. You can put an infinitude of non-life together and still not get life because of what it is. It's not living. This is elementary, my dear.
Oh, the point is, people have been so brainwashed into evolutionary propaganda, they don't know the significant scientific arguments that are devastating against it. Nor do they care. Because one thing that's paramount is that evolution is dogma throughout the world. Okay. Well, if it's dogma, well, all these smart people and educated people couldn't be wrong, could they?
Can you believe this? Quote, what does soft tissue in dinosaur bones mean? And I'm going to quote here. This is Smithsonian. Quote, a tiny blob of stretchy brown matter, soft tissue from inside the leg bone of a dinosaur, suggests that the specimen had not completely decomposed. We're talking about 60 million years, folks. Hasn't completely decomposed. Now not completely decomposing does not comport with a 63 million year age. If it's 63 million years old, it's completely decomposed, trust us. And so how does one account for soft tissue in a supposed 60 million year old object? Well, there is no account.
Was it frozen or something? Don't things last?
Well, this thing was found 1 foot underneath your feet in Montana, where there's snow, ice, and hot baking sun, which, by the way, are the prime conditions for decomposition, variation in temperature.
Cool.
It's
what do you think?
Absolutely bizarre.
What do you think?
Well, it suggests that dinosaurs are a lot younger than we thought.
Oh, shit.
I mean, how could there be soft tissue in dinosaurs still? Not just soft tissue, but soft tissue in an environment that's literally only 12 inches under your feet in Montana, an environment that gets hot like the Sahara in summer. And then,
well, didn't they also find soft tissue in the horn of a Triceratops?
That's right. Yeah, hadrosaurs, Triceratops. Yeah, Tyrannosaurs.
And isn't it true that Donald Trump Jr. was photographed on a hunting expedition killing a Triceratops?
I'm sure he did.
That's ridiculous.
Well, he's just joking on this.
I hate when I see those pictures of people who kill like exotic animals. It's horrible.
Well, I went down a rabbit hole of about an hour yesterday, which I'll never do again, which is a rat being chewed alive for, I'm not kidding, 15 solid minutes, and I'm not exaggerating.
By what?
Monitor lizard.
Nice.
Yeah, it was rough, man. And you know what I thought today? It's like that rat, and the rat was literally screaming as if it were a human. And I'm thinking, yeah, it was screaming, dude. And I'm thinking that rat's pain probably is no different than my pain, or very similar.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh.
Probably.
No.
No?
Animals do not experience pain the way we do.
I don't think that's provable. How the hell would you know that?
Of course it is, because we human beings have a higher level of consciousness. So, for example,
okay, but
let me explain to you the difference. Okay, so
you're just saying
when well, do you want to hear an explanation, or you just want to be a jerk?
Yeah, I do. Go for it.
Okay, so because we have a higher level of consciousness and self introspection, not only do we feel pain, while we're feeling pain, we're thinking, oh, when is this going to be over? I wish this was over. So we experience pain differently, okay? That's not to say animals don't feel pain. It's not that they don't react, but it's not the same mental reaction to pain that humans have.
Yeah,
I agree.
I agree with
Good
that.
point. A lot of
Wait.
pain comes from just thinking about the pain.
The experience
wait.
is different for a human than an animal.
How about this?
Yeah.
How many of you?
Animals are very
How many of
close.
you?
They're
How
very
many of
close.
you? How many of you have ever had a severe flu? Okay, where
Yeah,
you're in a real fog and you might be in grave intestinal pain.
Mhm.
So when you're out of it mentally, you're just not experiencing the pain in the same way than if your mind were entirely clear. So this is not to minimize that animals can feel pain and feel it acutely. It's just that they don't suffer pain in the same way that we do with a higher consciousness, where we're focusing, oh, I'm in pain, I'm in pain. When is this going to be over? I wish this would end.
Yeah.
Animals,
You know, it's,
animals live in the moment. You know,
Yeah,
we're thinking about when we're feeling pain. We're like, oh crap, this has been going on for 2 hours. Oh my gosh, this is, or you might have pain. It doesn't matter what it is. You're gonna like, oh my gosh, how am I going to last another couple of hours like this? Animals aren't thinking that.
Yeah, but I mean, it's possible to get to that point as a human, or at least closer to something like that, right?
A bunch of type of animals commit suicide.
Yeah, but what? I'd never heard that
A
before.
bunch of animals commit suicide.
No. That's
But
that's
no.
not they don't make a conscious decision. I'm gonna end it all.
Yeah, like
They just can't take it anymore. The psychological depression is too intense.
Okay, like Darth, are you saying that babies do they feel pain like we do? When I
Do they
say
feel-
babies, I mean it's something that's born.
Yeah, they don't. They have pain like we do, but not at the same consciousness level that you do when you're 1 and when you're 2 and when you're 3.
They experience the pain in itself and not all of the extra, existential pain that comes with the pain, or the dread that comes beforehand if you know that you're about to experience pain, right? It's like,
Yeah, so here's one thing you learn when you're a parent, and I've raised kids, is that when you see a child hurt themselves, if you hear noise coming out of their mouth, you know that it's moderately painful. But if their mouth is open and no sound is coming out, you know that it really hurts.
Oh yeah.
wow.
Because they're in such shock with the intense pain that they're gasping for breath, and then the screaming starts.
I wonder if animals
Those are the
experience
worst.
like adrenaline, like how in like fights people they have adrenaline and they don't really feel pain until like the next day when the adrenaline wears off. I wonder if animals must have something like that too, right? Have you guys ever been in a fight? Maybe you don't know what I'm talking about.
Trust me, dude, I've been in more fights than you'd ever imagine.
Yeah, so when you're like in a fight, you get punched, but you don't really like feel anything until the next day when everything's kind of settled down. I wonder if animals have something similar to that when they're like fighting each other.
I could see that in like trying to survive, that being that since they have to focus so much on survival, they don't have time to think about what sucks. I don't know.
That's cool.
Hey Eve, why is your voice so shaky?
My mic sucks.
No, it's not your mic. That's your voice.
My voice is shaky. I don't know. Darth scares me.
Did you just wake up?
No, I'm just talking slower than I normally do.
Okay, that sounds better. You're good now. Just curious, sorry.
It's good to know. Thanks.
Oh, you sound fine now.
What do you guys think about painkillers?
They're dangerous. I mean, we have an opioid crisis because of them.
Fentanyl.
Fentanyl. What do you guys think about fentanyl?
That's a bad deal.
Don't ask a stupid question.
I never tried it before. Never will.
I'm curious internationally if everybody else is doing the 21-year-old for smoking, or if that's just a U.S. thing right now.
I don't know.
Is everybody in here American?
Yeah, everyone here is.
I'm American.
Alrighty.
We don't talk about smoking cigarettes here.
I don't smoke. Do you guys?
I just said we don't talk about it.
Why?
It's taboo.
Is it really? Oh,
Change the subject, boy.
And Darth, is God logically necessary or metaphysically necessary?
Are you mentally ill? I'm dead serious.
That's not a response to my question.
No, it is. You're right. It isn't. Why do you continually year after year troll on the internet?
I only go after people who are dodgers, evaders,
You're a liar. Okay,
you don't stutter at me, Darth.
Bye. There you go.
Later,
yeah, he's somebody who's trolled year after year after year. You see, you do this in the real life, and you get your head handed to you.
Darth, have you been following the Georgia Senate race at all with Herschel Walker versus Raphael Warnock?
No, I haven't. I know there's a runoff.
Yeah.
But leave it to the Democrats. They'll find some way to cheat.
Oh,
look at all these ballots that just showed up in this mail truck 2 weeks later.
Yeah, we had a fortuitous ballot drop here. This is great.
This is actually the Republicans' fault. 1, 2.
Oh, wait a minute. These Republican precincts tabulators went down, and they're rejecting 1 in 5 votes. Sorry, folks. Put them in this box over here, and we promise you we'll count them later.
You see, this is like the drug cartels. You know, they produce the drugs, and then they just send mules in, and then if the mules get caught, you know, the people at the head of the cartel. The same thing with the Democratic Party. They have these mules that do all their dirty work in these states, and they're not in jeopardy of going to federal prison. Okay, and they cheat. And I think that the Republican Party and the American public need to wake up that the Democratic Party today are nothing more than communists.
100%.
And I'm not red baiting here. These people are communists. They are evil. And they have decided over the last couple of decades that they are going to cheat any way they can, when and where they can. All right.
Oh, you mean the low T GOP? The low T GOP in Congress? We cannot count on these low T GOP.
Well, I understand that the Republican parties can be criticized, but it's no comparison between the Democratic Party. So, you know, if we're not careful in the next decade or so, if the Republicans don't work at a state level to work at stopping this cheating, that we're going to see them eventually take over communist control. Okay,
I agree. I mean, it's blatant.
Like, Darth, was it when the COVID happened and we had more mail-in voting, or do you think this is going on?
COVID was a pretext. Yes, COVID was used as the pretext for all that.
You know, that's possible, but I think that where we probably would agree is that they use the opportunity for mail whatever opportunity they're given to cheat, they'll do it.
Darth, they used COVID to get the mail and the drop boxes, and it worked.
Well, I don't know that they started COVID in order to steal the election.
No, but they used it though.
Well, then I agree with that. Yeah, of course they did. They're going to use anything they can to cheat. These people, look, we had people like Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, trying to impeach Donald Trump because they hated him. Whether you like Donald Trump or not, Donald Trump did not commit any impeachable offense. I mean, these people were just lying through their teeth. Okay. And yet they said that they had to, that he committed violations of the Constitution. I mean, this is absolutely absurd. These are dangerous people. Look, they raided his Mar-a-Lago property. Okay. I mean, look, these people are dangerous. They're simply doing this to prevent him from running again because they know he's going to win if he runs again.
Yep.
That is, of course, unless they steal the election again.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, look at them. If the midterms are any indication of 2024, I mean, Carrie Lake is a good example, right?
They clearly stole it.
Clearly,
it's
so clear.
Maricopa County. Oh my God,
it's a joke. And this is what's going to happen in 20. Steve Bannon said, if we don't figure out Arizona, forget about 2024.
Yeah, I agree with him.
Y'all have Congress, so I mean, it's not like Joe Biden's going to push anything he couldn't when he had.
No, we don't have Congress. We have the House.
We had every single Democrat, with the exception of one, voted to impeach Donald Trump. This is how corrupt the Democratic Party is. Okay, I'm not saying this because I'm a fanboy of Donald Trump. Donald Trump did not do anything that was a violation of the Constitution. He didn't commit any high crimes or misdemeanors. You even had liberal constitutional scholar Alan Dershowitz point this out. This is pure communist tactics on the part of the Democrats. Right?
Okay, so you know how Donald Trump's they raided Mar-a-Lago because they said he took stuff from the White House. Donald Trump said that every single president has done this going back. I mean, what do you think?
The president was set with Bill Clinton. Remember that, guys? He took the tapes Bill Clinton did. Obama took.
What tapes are you referring to?
There were some famous tapes that Bill Clinton took from the White House, from the library. But the reason I bring this up is because that set the precedent. The Supreme Court actually ruled on that it was totally within his discretion to do so. That was the precedent.
Well, look, isn't it scary that how crooked Merrick Garland is, and yet this guy almost became a justice on the Supreme Court? Look, we have a justice on the Supreme Court, this Jackson, who, when in the what do you call the hearings, the senatorial hearings on the nomination, couldn't even answer the question, what is a woman?
I remember that. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry. This is no longer a joke. This is insane.
It's not. It's really not.
This is insane.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
That's right.
We have a political party in the country that is totally in the tank by people who are insane. The LGBT types in this country. When I say they're insane, I don't mean that they're insane in the sense that they're a danger to themselves or others. Well, I could take that back, because they're actually trying to mutilate underage children, by doing operations that mutilate perfectly good body
Story
parts.
time.
Yeah. Yeah, if you had told me 30 years ago, I would be seeing this stuff 30 years ago. I'm 61. I would not even believe that this kind of change could take place in such a short period of time.
These were might spark your memory, Darth. These were tapes found in Bill Clinton's sock drawer. Now, they had to rule on this, that this is completely fine because he was the president and what they do goes. Now, the problem is that they're trying to pretend as though what Trump did is anything.
Hold on a second. I just got to. Yeah. Okay. Hold on. Yes. My producer speaking to me in my ear. Hold on a second. We actually have the former president. Yeah, okay, go ahead, Mr. President.
Darth Dawkins, where the fuck were you?
I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. I never told anyone to lie, and I just need to get back to work for the American people, and you people need to support me and Hillary. Now stop it. Let's move on.
Yeah. He put in work, that's for sure.
I mean, Dawkins, maybe like Merrick Gardner was silly by saying he doesn't know the definition of a woman, but most liberals
can you back off of your microphone a little bit?
Oh, I'm being too loud.
No. It's just like you're too close to your mic source.
How bad?
Yeah, it's okay.
I'll be quiet for a minute.
The court has serious. This is the court speaking. The court has serious doubts about whether the former president, Bill Clinton, his retention of audio tapes was a personal matter, and therefore it's not subject to judicial review. That was the ruling. It's not subject to judicial review. So it's good for me, but not good for thee. And we're talking about presidents just taking whatever they want.
Well, Donald Trump said that he could declassify papers just by thinking about it, and they laughed at it, but it's true.
It's true. Yeah, that's right. It's written in stone. But if you're this regime,
the president has the authority to declassify anything.
Hey, Darth.
Hey,
what do you think about Israel Palestine? What's your thoughts on that matter?
Well, because I hold to the Bible as the Word of God, and I hold to the premillennial biblical prophetical eschatology, I hold that God is not done with Israel, and that the land still belongs to Israel, and that God still has unfulfilled prophecies which will be fulfilled when Christ comes again and saves Israel from destruction.
Oh, sure. No, but sure, but what? Okay, anyways, I'm saying sure, but
hold on a second. Somebody's laughing. Why are you laughing?
Yeah, why are you laughing? That's why
I mean, if you disagree with me, fine, but why is that funny?
Yeah, Darth, that's why I stopped. Why is he laughing? Who was that?
It was Tech, Jewish agent. Why are you laughing?
No, I mean, it's kind of funny.
All right, well, why? I'm willing to hear you. I don't mind if you disagree with me, so why is it funny?
I mean, I can't say my points because you ended up muting me.
No, that's
he
not.
Left the VC. He left the VC.
As long as you, yeah.
Darth, he left.
Okay, what a clown.
Yeah, he left.
No, this is a view that is not unique to me, but is held in wide numbers by Bible-believing Christians. Now, not all Bible-believing Christians hold to that particular prophetical view. They think that the church is Israel fulfilled, but I don't hold to that view. But large numbers of Bible-believing Christians hold to this particular eschatology.
You know what I think?
Objects are real. Can you mute your mic? You're echoing hard.
No, it's not me. So
is it me?
Don't talk to me about it.
No, you are echoing.
You're wrong.
Yeah. Anyways,
well, objects. Can you just be a little bit more polite, okay?
You know, when someone has pushed to talk, he doesn't need to listen to someone saying that he has any kind of.
All right, let's just move on.
Okay, Darth, do you hear an echo?
I am hearing it, yeah.
Oh, okay. Just give me a sec. Maybe it's my fault.
So,
Darth,
Elliot, I have pushed to talk
to God, but okay. So, Darth, you believe that Israel belongs to God, but I was speaking more so geopolitically and politically, right? Do you think that Netanyahu is Israel's owner, geopolitically speaking and historically? Because you can believe that Israel belongs to God, and Palestine can still have some sort of geopolitical sovereignty.
I don't believe that there are Palestinians. I believe that people on the West Bank are just simply Jordanians. And as for the people on the Gaza Strip, which are much smaller in number, I'm not well researched enough, but I would probably say that they're of Egyptian descent.
But Palestine existed as an ethnicity before Israeli. I don't understand how you think Palestinians exist.
No. The Palestine was a term that the Romans coined in order to humiliate Israel by changing the name of the land. Okay.
What?
Palestinians aren't a distinct people. The people on the West Bank are not Palestinian. These were Jordanians. Okay. You do recall, before Israel was invaded by Jordan and Egypt and Syria, the West Bank was part of Jordan, right? These are Jordanians. But, if you don't believe the Bible, well, what does it matter then? So do you believe the Bible, sir? No answer.
Sorry, can you repeat? Sorry, Darth, can you repeat yourself? You just cut out there.
Well, my view is biblical. If you don't,
I heard what you said. You said something at the end. What did you ask me?
I don't remember.
He said, "Do you believe that, sir?"
Do I believe
I don't know.
what?
I don't know. Were you listening carefully, explicit?
Sorry?
Were you listening carefully, explicit?
Dude, can you fix your mic or your earphones or something? Like,
you asked me if I'm Christian, right? No, I'm not Christian. Yeah,
the only place in my heart I have for Palestinians is that they're more conservative than Israelis, and my heart is with conservatism, tradition.
Yeah,
so I look at Muslims as pious and God lovers, whereas I look at Jews and Israelites.
Wait a minute, you told me you were a Christian.
Yeah, I am, and so I'm going to side with that.
Then why are you saying that they're God lovers when Islam is a derivational cult of Christianity?
Well, when one sees a Muslim bow down in the middle of an airport to pray to his God.
Sir, you just exposed yourself to me. So, yeah, you had me fooled there for a while. Okay, so when you say that they're God believers, okay, so is Allah a false god or the true God?
False God.
Well, then why are you say they're pious believers in God?
He means their God, probably.
Yeah, you're not a Bible. You were lying to me. You're not a Bible believing Christian.
Oh, that doesn't follow.
No Bible believing Christian would say what you just said.
Darth,
that doesn't follow.
Do you think Jews go to hell?
I think everyone's going to hell unless you repent and turn to Jesus Christ as Savior.
So then you believe, Darth, you believe about Jews what I believe about Muslims.
I'm not really
educated. We're not going to turn this conversation into anti-Semitism here, okay?
Of course not.
So is there anyone in here who would like to discuss why it's reasonable not to believe in God or the Christian worldview?
Yeah, I actually had a question for you about that subject.
Yeah, sorry. Hey, explicit, I'm sorry. See you later, explicit.
Why would it be unreasonable to disbelieve in God?
Who's asking?
Mufasa. What? Like, is it contradictory that God doesn't exist?
Is it contradictory? Yeah, it's contradictory because the existence of God is undeniable and irrefutable because God has made himself to be known through creation, which is undeniable and irrefutable. Well, that everything,
entailed in saying that the universe exists and God doesn't exist. What's the contradiction?
The contradiction is that because you're saying that these things can be instantiated as actual intelligible without referencing the necessity of God. Such a notion is incoherent and indefensible.
So Mufasa, answer the question.
Listen, I just answered you. Listen, Mufasa, if you're going to do the same shtick you did before, you are going to get muted because you've been muted many times because of your bad behavior. Now, Mufasa, do you believe in God?
No.
All right, hold on, I got to change my headset.
Mufasa, if it's not God, then what is it?
Well, I don't really take a position.
No, but what would be the alternative?
Actually, you do take a position. You do take a position. You claim you don't take a position. Is my mic working?
I was answering the other guy.
Yeah, it's working.
Okay, is my mic working now?
Yes. Yeah, it's working.
You haven't spelled out a contradiction, just to be clear. There was no contradiction.
Now you
wasn't able to follow up.
Are you claiming to suspend judgment about the existence of God?
I'm an atheistic fideist. I don't believe that. I just
Okay,
don't
so
have,
you
like,
do.
a
So you do take a
justification.
position. You take the position that God does not exist.
Yeah, I don't have a justification for it. It just seems that
Good.
way.
So no. Well, but you say when it seems that way, that's a justification. So that's a contradiction in terms.
I'm not a phenomenal conservativist.
No, sir. You just say
Are you a phenomenal
it seems that way.
conservativist?
Okay. Am I? It would depend on what you're talking about. Now,
In the traditional understanding and philosophy of phenomenal conservatism.
not for everything. Now, the point is simply this, okay?
I don't understand.
So well, there's no point in talking with you. If your view that God does not exist, then there's nothing identifiable or defensible that dictates what anything is. Correct?
Are you a Christian fideist?
Okay, you have now dodged the question, strike one. Since you don't believe in God as the supreme being and the creator of all things, whereupon God instantiates what everything is in terms of its actuality and its intelligibility, when you invoke states of affairs, is there something that is identifiable and defensible that dictates what anything is?
Yeah, that's not the way I think about modality.
Strike two, you've dodged. And now you can answer the question for a third chance. And if you get a third strike, you're going to get server muted. You've dodged the question twice.
I don't want to get muted, but I just don't understand
you're now muted. There you go.
Darth, can I ask you a question?
You see, this is what some of these philosophical wannabes will do. That when you hit them with questions that show the bankruptcy of their position, they pretend to respond to you, but they're really not, and they're just trying to maneuver you down another semi-related rabbit trail.
Framing.
Okay, so I gave him 3 chances to answer the question, and 3 times in a row he deliberately, purposely evaded the question. Okay, and he was warned to answer the question, and he refused to do so.
Can I ask you a question, Darth?
You just did.
Can he ask
That's
you
the
another
fucking question?
Okay, I was just gonna ask. God exists because
God exists because the God who is eternal without beginning and possesses a satiety has created this world, and he has revealed himself through his creation.
Yes,
So
and
God
nature cannot account for
can I
itself.
talk to just Darth? Can I just talk to Darth? So God exists because he.
Fix your mic.
God cut his mic.
No, he needs to fix his mic. He's got a Walmart mic.
What's wrong with my mic?
Fix your fucking mic.
Pablo, is mommy or daddy home? Hey, Pablo, are you there?
Accept my apology. Why do you not address?
Pablo, is mommy and daddy home? Do they know that you are being creepy and stalking people on the internet? Pablo?
Darth, can you hear me?
Yeah, I know you can hear me. Bye-bye, explicit.
Later, Gator.
Yeah, back and to the left, back and to the left. Yeah, that's explicit. He's a stalker.
Well, God exists. Why? Well, because nature doesn't make an account of itself. It needs an explanation.
No. Everything in the world, individually and collectively, either indicates and reveals God by his purpose or not. The notion that it does not is indefensible, and it is it's indefensible, and it's not coherent. But be that as it may, I can still make a positive case that these things reveal God, because they wouldn't otherwise be anything. Okay, so in order for it to be something, then there must be something eternal that instantiates the temporal. Okay?
Yeah, that's right. And if you're going to talk about purpose or an end to anything, a goal, there's nothing in physics and nature that's going to get you there. And so, yeah, a telic cause, right? The telos, the cause, the purpose, that can only come from above.
Yeah, if you're going to say that the basketball is in the driveway, well, is the basketball eternal? Is the basketball unconditionally non-dependent, non-derivative? Because if not, the basketball can't explain itself. So these things are indicative and revelatory of the eternal. And that eternal one, it only could be that it would be God, because he purposed it, because if he didn't. So this is how everything reveals God, because if you say that it doesn't, number one, it's indefensible. Number two, then nothing there would be nothing dictating what anything is. Therefore, it would be conversation over. It would just be just sounds going back and forth. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, there's got to be. So there is no being in physics. And we've got to account for being, because we know things are like basketballs. We know that things are. And you can generalize basketballs to everything in our universe, basically. They've got to make something has to account for these things. And they don't make an account by force of themselves. You've got to explain them through something outside of them. And you can't use more physics to describe them, because it's like you said, that's just going to eventuate to blah, 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 blah.
See, here's the deal, is people want to say that, oh, well, theists have the burden of proof. Well, yes and no. Non-belief itself is not a default position, but it's a position that requires a defense because it's so indefensible. So the point is this: is in a world where God is, and he creates a world where things reveal him, we can say that these things reveal God. Okay. But when you disregard such a world, how are you going to defend anything in your world about that anything means or is anything? Well, the answer is you couldn't.
Well, they would admit to that. I mean, you have a limitivist like Don Dennett, and he says that perception itself doesn't exist. So now we're in a situation. This is how far physicalism and materialism and scientism has taken us. You would find these ideas in an insane asylum, where they would say things like your own conscious perception doesn't exist. Now, that's the one thing we know that exists, because it's the only thing we could know exists. And yet they say that's the one thing that doesn't. And so this is when you pull the thread of the sweater, just all you need is the little thread. It unravels, because where their worldview eventuates is into insanity, where your perception doesn't exist, but yet we know it exists because we're having one right now. Objects don't exist. Redness doesn't exist. Love doesn't exist. And yet we're on its face experiencing these things. And yet they tell us they're inviting us into a kind of schizophrenia.
Yeah. Either we're going to have what is ultimate is the rational, meaning the mind of God, who then instantiates and dictates what everything is. And the alternative is no alternative at all, is that nothing indicates anything.
That's right.
Now the unbeliever will find this unacceptable, because they don't want to believe in God, and that's the mind of God that instantiates what everything is. And then the human being simply appropriates what God reveals to us in his creation. So they want to believe that the human mind can figure out what things mean. But the point is that is an impossibility.
It is an impossibility.
Because there won't be anything that is that is ultimate, that is identifiable and defensible, that can then be put on the table to explain and dictate what anything is.
Mm-hmm.
But they just want to believe that these things, well, they just are. Well, once you just say they just are,
you can't just have just are, right? You're implying something ultimate.
No, what I'm saying, no, not necessarily. They'll just say, well, these are brute facts. But if they're brute facts, they're mute facts, which means they don't mean anything, because there's nothing that dictates what it is.
Hey, Darth, I'm confused about like the null hypothesis. Is it just because it's a different category? Because usually the null hypothesis is like
the null hypothesis simply relates to empirical endeavor. So, for example, if you have an antibiotic that you think will be efficacious in eliminating or reducing an infection, the null hypothesis will take the opposing view that in a control group, there won't be any statistical variation in giving the non-antibiotic. Okay, And so that when you undergo the test or experiment, either there will be a statistical variance or not. And if there's not a statistical variance, then you have support for what is called the null hypothesis. But there are people out there that are atheistic types that think that they can borrow from empirical endeavors and just say, well, they're just taking the null hypothesis. This is a category error. Okay?
Yeah, so the reason to set a null hypothesis in any study is to show whether or not it gains more probabilistic efficacy or probabilistic power than the experiment you're running. Now, if the null hypothesis has more power, then you should believe against your study.
No, it's not that it has more power. It's just that if the null hypothesis will be the opposite, that there will be no statistical variance when the antibiotic is given, okay? And so when you do the test, if there is an increase of efficacy, then it supports the antibiotic is in some way efficacious. If there is no statistical variance between not giving the antibiotic, then the null hypothesis is then supported. It's just a control measure, that's all, in empirical endeavors. But people try to apply it to a philosophical realm, and it's a category error.
Hey, Dawkins, was Noah living in like Jurassic Park since you're a creationist? Was like Tyrannosaurus Rex like walking around?
Well, maybe not.
Velociraptors?
Maybe not. Well, first of all, within the fossil record, we find out that many of the dinosaur fossils that we find around the world are found like in the western part of the United States. So it could be that dinosaurs predominated in one part of the geographical surface of the earth rather than another. But in the biblical record, all the animals that we do find in the fossilized remains were alive at the time of the flood, and then they were just rapidly buried. But many fossils are rare to begin with. So many animal species that were wiped out in the flood and went extinct weren't recorded in the fossil record. Okay.
There's no proof of dinosaurs.
Ed, why do you keep on interjecting when you've been demonstrated to be a troll? Okay. Why do you persist in doing it when you've been muted over and over again?
I was just stating a fact.
Yeah, I'm stating a fact that your server muted because you're a troll.
Hey, Darth.
Once you repeatedly troll me over and over again, Ed, you're no longer welcome. So the point is, people have been brainwashed into an evolutionary past explanation, and because it comes in the name of science, and sometimes they use scientific-y vocabulary, and they talk about various geological ages, the people think that these geological ages are a fact when they're not. This is just a naturalistic conjecture, rather than the sedimentary materials can be explained by the worldwide flood rather than long geological periods of time. And people just,
is Pangea also a myth?
Not necessarily.
The creation explanation for
Pangea may or may not have been. I don't know. There are some creationists that hold to Pangea, some who don't. I'm not somebody who's dogmatic on the issue. But the point is, most people who believe in evolution don't realize the level to which they've been brainwashed. Okay, so for example, who was in here who asked me about dinosaurs?
That was me.
What's your username?
Blofeld.
Blofeld, do you think that the fossil record is a powerful testimony to gradualism?
Well, I'm not an expert on evolution.
Do you think that the fossil record is a powerful evidentiary support of evolution?
I think it's one supporting evidence.
No, it's not. Okay, this is how people have been brainwashed. The fossil record does not exemplify gradualism. Okay, the creatures in the fossil record, they appear abruptly without numerous prior or successive generations. They appear abruptly and disappear abruptly without numerous transitional forms. So it doesn't actually support Darwinian evolution. So what they have to do is they come up with an ad hoc explanation, either in the form of what is called punctuated equilibrium, that evolution happens in such rapid bursts that it leaves behind no telltale fossilized remains, or that the absence of all these transitional forms within a Darwinian gradualistic scheme, I don't mean that in a bad way, it's just an artifact of the fossil record that they weren't there. But you see, people have been bamboozled by evolutionary rhetoric because it comes in scientific lingo that they think it's the same kind of science that we have in physics and chemistry. Okay?
Okay. To be honest, I didn't really catch most of that. That went over my head.
Read certain creationist works by people who have degrees and PhDs in geology, PhDs in biology, and read their scientific refutations. These are not hacks, but they will give you a counter argument to the prevailing dogma of evolution. The number one factor.
There's a creationist with a PhD in biology.
The number. Sure, there are many creationists who have PhDs in biology.
Can you name one?
Off the top of my head, no. But if you, for example, if you go to creation.com, you go to Answers in Genesis, they have many people who have PhDs in biology that work for them.
I mean, von Strober, right?
The point is this, is that most people that I talk with, and probably including you, are of the view that you just simply cannot imagine that the theory of evolution could be false and yet be held in widespread consensus throughout the world. This is the number one reason why you believe it. And when somebody like me comes along and says, no, the theory of evolution is really scientifically crappy, right? And you're like, well, how could it be crappy when so many papers have been written about it and so many government grants have been given and so many, well, that doesn't make it true. Okay, so give me your reason for believing that evolution is true. Go ahead.
Well, I'm not a scientist.
Well, but you believe it, right?
Well, I'm.
Okay, look, let me explain something to you. All right, what you are now physically was all encoded into DNA when you were conceived. So that linear molecular sequencing, it's like a computer program, all right? It started off in one cell and it kept on dividing over and over and over again, and the cells specialized, all right? So that was the entire blueprint for every complex system that you are now. You're talking about 6 billion base pairs of instruction code, right? Now, if you're an evolutionist, you're going to believe a lot of that is junk. If you're not an evolutionist, you won't believe that. But the point is this. All right, let me just show you how ridiculous this is. Down at a molecular level, some of the DNA code has to code for proteins. Proteins consist of chains of amino acids. The coding sequence for one amino acid has a 1 in 20 chance of mutations to produce that coding sequence. That would be a correct unit of information in a chain of functional information. So the first one is 1 in 20. The second one followed by the first is 1 in 400. The third one is 1 in 8,000. The sixth followed by the first 5 is 1 in 64,000 plus. Now, do you see how each additional coding sequence at a molecular level causes the improbability to grow exponentially?
Yeah, but I just want to say
no. There's no yeah, but, because I'm not finished yet.
No, but you
no. This isn't This isn't the 6 million. This isn't the $6 million man. No. Okay, I'm not done. I'm not done. I'm not done yet. Okay, now you reason probabilistically, just like most human beings do. But when it comes to evolution, you will throw that out the window, especially when you're confronted with it. Now, if we take one rudimentary protein that's 100 amino acids long, the odds of that happening are 1 in 20 followed by 100 zeros. Do you understand that before I move on?
Well, I told you I'm not a scientist. I'm not.
Hey, you don't have to be. I'm not a scientist.
You have the belief that my atheism hinges on evolution.
Listen, okay, no, it doesn't. It doesn't hinge on that. But Darwinism is the fertile soil out of which gives you intellectual fulfillment as an atheist.
It doesn't.
Okay, So Richard Dawkins, do you know who Richard Dawkins is?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, Richard Dawkins is a world-famous atheist and staunch defender of evolution. Richard Dawkins said the following: atheism was inconceivable before Darwin, but with Darwin, Darwin has provided atheists with intellectual fulfillment. Okay? Now, those are Dawkins' words. Now, what he just said is even more stringent than what I would say. Now, Julian Huxley, the grandson of T.H. Huxley, who was Darwin's pit bull, said Darwin's greatest achievement was the removal of God from the sphere of rational discussion. Now, the probably overwhelming reason, not the only reason, but the large basis of your being an atheist is because you feel you have no need of God, because evolution explains why you're here. Okay?
That's not it.
Oh, okay. So believing in evolution is in no way influences you to feel you have no need of God? Well, either you're ignorant or you're lying.
Like I told you, I'm not. I'm being 100%.
Sir, listen to me carefully. Listen carefully, okay? If you feel that you are the product of millions of years of evolution, you're not going to feel that you are in need of being a special creation of God, that it's designed from the top down versus the bottom up. So, for example, Richard Dawkins says biology is the study of extremely complicated things that have the appearance of design. Do you agree with him?
I guess if Richard Dawkins said it.
Right. He says it's extremely complicated things that have the appearance of design. Michael Shermer, PhD in evolution and avowed atheist, said, yeah, everything in the biological kingdom, it appears designed and it is designed, but it's designed from the bottom up, not the top down. Leonard Susskind says that the entire biological kingdom, when you see it on lectures on YouTube, you probably don't know who Leonard Susskind is, but he's a world-renowned physicist. He goes, yeah, everything it appears to be designed. Now, I will just ask you this simple question. Is the appearance of design, I'm trying to think of the correct word, is it pervasive throughout biology and physics? Is the appearance of divine pervasive in biology and physics and cosmology? Well, the answer is yes, it is. But the difference is that the unbeliever says it's the illusion of design rather than the reality of design. So once you accept the notion that it is the illusion of design, this provides you with intellectual fulfillment upon which you can say, well, I'm in no need of God. There's no reason to believe in God. Now, are you an atheist because you feel that you don't have a reason to believe in God?
Yeah, I just feel like the Bible is just
right. Okay.
nonsense.
Okay. So there you go. Well, that's because you believe the Bible is nonsense because you've decided that the not God world is true, that materialism is true. But you see, you believing that is not a falsifier for the biblical worldview. Now, you attacking the Bible doesn't get you to atheism. So explain to me, now there's no doubt in my mind whatsoever that the theory of evolution is the fertile soil out of which your atheism thrives. Now, evolution doesn't logically necessitate atheism, but it does provide the rich ideological soil in order for atheism to thrive. That's why Richard Dawkins said what he said. I didn't say it. Richard Dawkins said it.
But Richard Dawkins doesn't speak for every single atheist.
Good. So here's the point is that once you look, out of all of the deconversion stories, okay, right, did you ever believe in God?
No.
Okay. Out of all the atheist deconversion stories that I've heard, virtually all of them, and I've listened to hundreds of them, credit the theory of evolution as the prime motivating factor that eventually led to them denying the existence of God. Now, maybe that's not your case, but I can assure you that your believing that evolution is your creator rather than God is a significant part of the equation as to why you are absent of belief in God. But we can set that aside. So you don't believe in God because
of the Bible.
That's okay. How old are you?
I'm 28.
Okay, that's a complete non sequitur. Okay.
No. Listen, your basis of your belief is in the Bible.
Blofeld, listen to me.
That's everything. That's your whole world.
Blofeld, listen.
How's it not secular? It's your whole world.
Listen, please don't bicker with me like you're 16. You're a 28-year-old man, okay? I don't mind you disagreeing with me, but what I do mind is bickering, okay? Now, attacking religious scriptures, whether it's the Bible, the Quran, or any other things like that, doesn't get you to atheism proper. That's a non sequitur. Do you know what a non sequitur is?
No, I don't. Can you tell us what a non sequitur is, please?
Okay. All right, let me get rid of this guy.
It's a popular comic strip.
Hold on, I got to get rid of this.
The non sequitur is just changing the argument to something that it, or discussion to something that doesn't matter.
Bringing up something unrelated that doesn't follow from what had been.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So how do you get to God without the Bible? Can someone tell me?
Okay. First of all, that's not what we're talking about at the moment. What we're talking about is your rationale for atheism. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking you. How do you get to God without the Bible?
I will get. Listen.
It's completely related.
You hold on a second. You're telling me you're 28 years old. I'm questioning the legitimacy of that because you're not coming across to me like you're a 28-year-old man. By the time I was 25, I was married and was raising a family. You're not responding to me like you're a 28-year-old. So I have a higher standard for you than if you were 18 or you were 16. Now, attacking religious scripture doesn't get you to the not God world. Okay? Now, I want you to explain to me, other than saying because you don't believe the Bible, what is your reason to believe that the not God world is true?
It's not a belief.
I'm waiting.
It's not a belief. I don't know.
Sir, I'm not going to waste my time. You tell me you're 28? Of course it's a belief. You will either
is a lack of belief.
Okay, all right. Here we go again. This makes me want to throw up, okay? Look, does every atheist that denies the existence of God, are they lacking belief in God?
A lot of them are.
Okay, so telling me that your position is lacking belief in God is non-informative. You told me you're an atheist, but are you claiming now that you're suspending judgment about the existence or non-existence of God?
Okay, imagine you were living in the ancient world and you didn't know the
shape. Sir, listen to me. If this
just because you don't know the shape of the earth doesn't mean you should
listen to me.
What it is.
Wow, you don't see. This is why I don't believe you're 28, because you have a complete inability to focus like a 20.
You're the only one that's
listen to me.
He's just not.
You're not focusing. Okay, this is typical of teenage males. This is not typical of 28-year-old males who have a much mature mind and brain. I don't expect you to agree with me, but I do expect a higher level of mature discourse. Okay, now, when I ask a question, that's not a signal for you to segue onto a semi-related subject. Now, what is your reason to believe that the not God world is true?
It's not a belief.
Okay, I'm going to kick you from the room if I hear you say that one more time. It is a belief. You told me you're an atheist. The word atheist in the English language, is English your first language?
No.
What's your first language?
Italian.
Oh, that's good. Oh, that's good, because I'm an honorary Italian. All right. So atheism, when we survey the reference works, dictionaries, encyclopedias, including philosophy, what we find at is the standard definition and the best definition is that there are no gods. To sit there and say that atheism is simply a lack of belief is non-informative. It's ambiguous. It's like saying you're a non-theist, okay? A non-theist could be somebody who denies the existence of God, or a non-theist could be somebody who thinks that the word God doesn't mean anything, or a non-theist could be somebody who says, well, I suspend judgment as to whether God does or doesn't exist. So telling me that atheism lacks belief is the typical go-to thing that atheists do to try to insulate themselves from having to defend their position. And I see that he left. Okay. Yeah. 28 my ass.
Darth, what do you think about Saiten Bruggencake?
I like Saiten a lot. I'm friends with him.
Yeah, you were channeling him earlier with the gibberish talk.
Well, this is what people do. They frequently do this. Now, sometimes I'll say something that maybe some things people aren't always clear about, but then they'll accuse me of doing a word salad. But that's just a silly tactic.
No,
where
that's
they're
not what I'm
trying to be
talking about.
dismissive.
You were talking about like coherency of atheism, and then you're saying like, then you might as well be talking gibberish, and then you modeled some gibberish.
Here's why. Here's why. In a God world, okay, the ground of all being is a mind, God. It is the rational, okay? And so what we have in God is the concrete universal. God is concrete as opposed to abstract, and all things derive and depend upon God. So the tree blowing in the wind is what it is in any given moment because of the mind, the purpose, and the plan of God. And we could only invoke God, if and only if God takes the initiative to reveal himself. In the absence of such a scenario, then we have nothing that is ultimately identifiable and defensible that dictates why anything is. So in spite of the fact that somebody thinks a tree is a tree, the tree doesn't mean anything in a not God world because there's nothing that is identifiable that dictates what a tree is.
So Saiten lives an hour and a half from me. It'd be neat to get together.
He's a good guy. Are you in Canada?
Yeah, we've spoken about this.
MacGruber was attacking you because he said you were channeling Saiten by saying.
No, I wasn't.
Wait, is this the Christian chat?
I don't take that as an attack. He says I'm channeling Saiten.
Okay, I thought it was like a joke. I thought the Christian chat got changed to Atheist Helpline as a joke. I'm sorry.
No, it got
the
changed to
Atheist
Advent.
Helpline. We're here to help atheists with their confusion. Are you an atheist?
Anyways, I gotta.
Are you an atheist?
No. I mean, I don't really know. I haven't experienced it.
Do you positively believe in God?
No, but that's just due to my.
Then you're an atheist, sir.
Well,
then you're an atheist.
Yeah, but there's a negative connotation to the word.
So what? Who cares, sir? The word atheism takes the position where one does not positively believe in God. Okay, now you can claim to suspend judgment, but you're still an atheist.
I know. Yeah. I know, but I don't like to go into like the reason I don't have like atheist in my like roles on my profile, and I don't usually bring it up is just because it tends to be very like I don't know how do I explain it? Like
contentious.
It gets people fired up for no reason. Like I don't have to bring it up. It's not something.
Okay. Well, then you're just as Madeline Murray said. Madeline Murray O'Hare said that you're just an atheist who's a coward.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. I don't want to. I don't want to bother anyone. It's like balding.
That's fine. That's your prerogative. There are lots of atheist cowards.
Yeah, because I don't have anything like. Basically, I don't have like that's not my focus of my life. Like, it's not like I don't have like a.
Of course, it's the focus of your life. Either the focus of your life is going to be God-centric, or it will be not God-centric. So, is the focus listen carefully? How old are you?
I'm only 21, so I'm not. Like,
okay, all right. So you sound young. Okay, so here's the deal: either your life is God-centric or it's not God-centric. You've already made it clear that it's not God-centric. So the focus of your life is not God-centric. So the focus of your life is on atheism. It's just that you just don't wear it on your sleeve.
Yeah.
Your focus is on your own personal mental autonomy.
Yeah.
Not on the autonomy of the mind of God as your creator. But you're just fooling yourself that you're kind of like this indifferent. You're not indifferent. You hate God. Okay. Now you don't lie in
that's what I'm
bed going,
saying.
I hate you,
Like-
God, I hate you, God. You hate God because you refuse to acknowledge him as God, and you choose instead to love your own personal autonomy.
Yeah,
But you're not.
I'm
But you're
growing
not.
more as a person, and I'm
But you're
noticing,
not
like,
growing. You're not growing at all. You right now, as we speak, you're under the wrath of God. You're one heartbeat away from eternal damnation. You might be learning about things as you get older. Your mind and your brain is expanding as you learn more about the world. But you want to just think, well, we're just in a gray zone, and gee, we can just never know, and all that. Well, God says that's rebellion. Okay.
Yeah, because it is technically rebellion.
Good. I just hope for you. I just hope for you that you're not in a car crash or you get cancer, because then you're going to face God. When you're young, you don't take the fragility, the frailty of life seriously.
No, yeah, that was what that's one of the things that I was talking about growth wise. I'm not saying I'm like, oh, I'm growing so much, because I'm not. I'm noticing how naive I am and how like how
See, the point is you do believe in God. No, you do believe in God, but on a day-by-day basis, you don't want to acknowledge God. So you just repeat to yourself, well, there's no evidence for God. Just life goes by, things just are, no explanation in God. Okay. But you see, you're just suppressing what you know. Because if what you believe in your suppression were true.
Like I literally have the opposite. Like you even said it yourself. There is the theist and the atheist, but I don't take that to heart. Like I'm not trying to at least take. Like,
you're not consciously acknowledging that you're God's creature.
Yeah.
Okay. And when you do that, you are suppressing then truth and righteousness. And you know how I know that? It's because the idea that you're not God's creature is an indefensible position that can't be defended. It can't be sustained. That's why in the Bible it says they are without an excuse. Bible says ever since the beginning of the creation of the world, God's eternal powers, his eternalness, have been clearly seen through everything that has been made, so that men are without excuse. In other words, everything that we come into contact with is indicative and revelatory of the eternal. And it could only be indicative of the eternal if the eternal was a personal mind that we call God, who created everything to reveal himself. And so the Bible says they are without excuse. And then it says, but their foolish hearts became darkened, and they turned and they worshiped the creation. So rather than worship God and be thankful to God every day, you've decided, well, this creation is your creator and not God. Okay, you're just fooling yourself until the day you die, and you're going to stand before God, and then it's going to be too late.
If I live long enough, there may be a point where I do.
That's not right. That's not the right way to think about it. It's not just going to happen.
The problem, Big Tall, the problem with that is this: the longer you put it off, the more calloused your heart becomes, and you are less prone to believing as you get older, because I'm sure you would agree. You sound like a smart young man. We are creatures of habit, and we're creatures of habit because we reinforce everything. Look, I did something the other day, and I was going somewhere, and I went the wrong way, and I'm like, why am I going this way? And then I realized, because I've done it so many times before, and I went the wrong way because it was creature of habit. The longer you as a human being put off acknowledging God and repenting and turning to Jesus Christ, the more you're reinforcing the habit of being in rebellion to God, and you're making it less likely that you will repent in the future. Not that you can't, but you're making it less likely.
There's no getting around that. I mean, you're not just going to go about your daily routine thinking the way you do now, and then some kind of revelation is just going to happen to you, unless you're Paul on the road to Damascus. And so what God, if in your belief system, what has to change, it has to come from something outside of you. One way to access that is through seeking. You have to seek it. You have to seek that. It's not just going to come naturally, because your nature is going to want to devolve into this scientism. So you've got to seek something outside of scientism while accepting science.
There is not a scientism. I will say that, because even if you do believe, there are plenty of like scientists who believe in God, because it can be like an almost overarching, thing, right?
Well, the question is you, though. I mean, scientism is this religious belief in science, as Darth said.
Yeah, well,
You find faith in the creation itself.
Yeah.
But there's something that had to cause the creation, and that's where you need to set your sights.
Yeah, but okay, that is one. That's a little bit. I'm trying to think what the word I'm looking for is. Like scientism implies that there is something to believe in science. You don't have to believe in science. Science is already concrete evidence and stuff. You know, it is the thing. Like in your view, it is the creation. Science is the creation as well, right?
Well, science has its place in our cosmos.
Like that's what. That's what I'm saying.
Scientism is the belief that that's all there is. So scientism is a philosophy that believes that science is the full explanation. There's nothing more. But the God belief is to say, yeah, science exists, but it was caused by something that has a mind, or that, it has order. And so, yeah, we have to be careful not to fall into the